How's it going, everyone? We got another topic for today. We're going to be talking about what's with Netflix with the Witcher series, because the creator, the author of the books of The Witcher, came in and said Netflix never listened to his feedback, his criticisms for the live action series. So what's with Netflix being Netflix, as always, not listening to the creators, not listening to the fans, just doing their own thing? We're going to be talking about that today. But before we talk about that, I would love it if you guys could like, follow, sub on this channel if you want to see more of these entertainment news articles I'm going to be talking about and giving my opinion about for each one. So if you like these bunch of video games, movies, shows, and other topics, if you like these, please do a favor and do that. I'd really appreciate it if you could. But enough of that, guys. Let's get into the topic ahead. What's with this Netflix Witcher series going so bad? Not listening to the author, the guy who created the Witcher series. What is going on here? Let's read into it.
Fuck.
All right, so we're here on Bonding into Comics. They got the article right here about the Witcher creator. I might butcher this, sorry guys. Andrzej Sapkowski. I could do Sapkowski says Netflix never listened to his feedback on live action series. We're gonna check that out. I've seen this going around on Twitter too. Not surprised this is happening. Netflix usually never listens to fans, other authors, the creators. It's just a big, middle finger. They want to do their own thing while using that IP to justify what they want to show, tell stories of, or even put some, ideology in there as well, which usually is shit. Anything that's woke goes broke. So let's see. So it's a tale as old as time. When it comes to the streaming giant, according to the Witcher original creator, Andrzej Sapkowski, Netflix was completely uninterested in hearing his opinions regarding their handling of the seminal work's live action adaptation. So I've watched The Witcher. Before we get into this article itself, some backstory. I actually watched The Witcher 1 series. I watched season 2, which I was very disappointed with season 2. I thought it was weaker than season 1. I think season 1 was a better adaptation. I think it felt way better. And I think Henry Cavill, pretty much as Geralt of Rivia, held that show really hard, really good. That first season was pretty good. Oh, there were some mishaps here and there, but in general, I thought it was actually a pretty decent season 1. But then, I saw season 2 getting downgraded, and the story was just all over the place. And I started, I think, the first episode of season 3, and I saw how bad it was. I couldn't watch that show. That show was so bad. So the show decreased over time. Henry Cavill, had some problems as well as the actor. He said some things, and he pretty much wanted to leave the set because they weren't, faithful to the characters, to the story, because he's a huge nerd. He's a fan of the Witcher series. He played the video games. He read the books. So he's well known in the Witcher series, the franchise. I played the Witcher games. I do enjoy them. I still need to go back and play them, but I do enjoy the Witcher games. I think they're pretty decent. I've seen the Witcher books, but I never read them. I would maybe be interested in reading them, but I don't know right now. But I remember enjoying the first season of The Witcher. It wasn't too bad. But let's get into more of this. So, they never listened to the main guy who created the Witcher series. They never listened to him. And you know, when the main author or whoever created the IP and it's a big success, you should probably listen to them as a director, just in case, because you want to make it the most faithful as possible to the fans, to everyone that enjoys this series. Why would you not listen to it? It's just very, very egotistical. Like, I don't understand in Hollywood why they have this mentality of not listening to the fans, to the people that created this IP. Like, it doesn't make no sense. It just doesn't. But let's continue. The author provided this insight into his experience with Netflix The Witcher production team while speaking to Austrian video game news outlet Kurlzy. I'm really bad at names, guys. Sorry. During the recently held 2023 entry of the annual Vienna. Oh, it's Austria. I'm guessing this is in Austria because Vienna. Following discussion on his writing history, creative process, and that lies in store for Geralt in the future, the outlet eventually raised the topic of the live-action series, asking Sapkowski, when you visited Netflix on the set for the Witcher series, did you give them any feedback? So they are asking that question. And then he probably said this. To that question, the author first responded by beaming over how well the set was tremendous, main question, and admitting that while he had thoughts on the series direction, they were ultimately discarded by its production team. So he said the set was perfect, it was tremendous, it looked really well done, but they didn't really listen to him. And this is what he said: maybe I gave them some ideas, but they never listened to me. He laughed to Killerzy. It's normal. Who's this? It's a writer. He's nobody. Wow. That's super disrespectful. This Polish guy, the author, he's Polish. He comes in, they look at him. Who's this? He's a writer. He's a nobody. That's absolutely disrespectful. Super disrespectful. And if I was this author, the Sapkowski guy, I would have been like, we're going to quit this. I'm not going to sign anything for this show no more. It's one season, that's it. Or just cut the whole thing. Because I would be on this. I'd be eagle eye looking through everything so they don't mess it up. That's insane. This is why this show was bad from the beginning. It didn't have any legacy. It didn't have anything to show for itself. It's just there. Notably, this is not the first time the storied author has offered such a lukewarm reception to Netflix's ongoing mess of a television adaptation. Asked by a fan for his thoughts on the live-action The Witcher series during a recent appearance at the 2023 Tapple International Book, Sapkowski unenthusiastically affirmed, "I've seen better. I've seen worse." What? I'm confused about that, but he is a confusing guy, I gather. Sapkowski is far from the only creator to have publicly claimed that Netflix ignored the input when adapting their work. Speaking to this involvement in Netflix's ill-fated television disaster during the 2019 interview with Japanese Entertainment News, Cowboy Bebop creator also, I read the initial concept and provide my opinions, but I'm not sure if they will be reflected in the final production. Cowboy Bebop also got the finger. That show, it looked cool from trailers, but what I heard from it, it was a disaster. It wasn't. And then they fixed it up with One Piece. One Piece was actually pretty decent, compared to what Cowboy Bebop was the live action. And yet, despite Netflix's ongoing disrespect of the very creators, they source the creative ideas from their best performing and most widely enjoyed show in the recent memory was One Piece, whose production team broke the trend of actively including series manga Ikiro Oda in every step of the development. Imagine that. As of writing, the fourth season of Netflix, The Witcher, has yet to receive a release date or even begin production. Wow. Okay, so Netflix, the only time they actually did something right was One Piece, where they actually got the manga author in there, and he wanted to look at every specific thing to make it all right for like an 8-episode series. He wanted to break it all down, make it, pretty decent, as much as he could with the director, which that's how it should be done. If this is not how it's done, I don't know what they're doing at Hollywood. You should be doing this for video games. Get the directors or the writers of the video game. If it's a popular series and you're adapting the video game into a movie, get the writers in there, get the people in there. But sometimes they do that, but they don't do shit. Because I remember when Uncharted came out, they had Neil Druckmann and all those. They accepted. They're like, oh yeah, it's fine. I knew it's gonna be shit because I don't trust Neil Druckmann at all. But I knew that movie is not gonna be what I want Uncharted to be, and it wasn't. So what do you expect? So you have to be passionate about the people that you could see they're passionate about what they're doing. They love the IP, and then they adapt that IP into a movie or a series. You have to see that. If people don't care, like Cowboy Bebop, the writer or whatever who made that, he didn't really talk to them. He really didn't care as much. So he let them just give them the rights to do all the stuff. And it turned out bad. So this happens all the time. Every time this happens. So it's better if, you get the creator who made the IP and made it famous and bring him in, and listen to them. Don't be like this, where who is this guy? Oh, he's just a writer. Whatever. He's a nobody. Don't ever say that. That's very disrespectful. That's one of the most disrespectful things. I think it's very disrespectful. And this is why this show's failing. I don't know what they're going to do for season 4. I don't even think they're going to have a season 4 because Liam Hemsworth is going to take over Geralt, which doesn't make no sense. And they want to continue it. And then they had that origin story live action series about The Witcher, and it was just a shit show. I heard bad things about that. I did watch the animated one. It wasn't too bad, but it wasn't the best. The animations were really, really well done. I love the animations for it. It was really good. They're making another Witcher animated movie with the voice actor for Geralt from the video games. Don't know if I'm gonna watch it. I might watch it, but I'm not expecting it to be good because Netflix just turns everything into shit recently. Every time I see something, I'm just disappointed with Netflix. Once in a while, you get a good one like One Piece, Altered Carbon Season 1. Once again, Season 1 only. Stranger Things and stuff like that, Once in a while, you have some good Netflix shows or movies. But it's very rare. They just have the worst record of making good franchise IPs. This also gives me kind of a vibe, now I'm thinking about it more, of George R.R. Martin's The Song of Ice and Fire. Is it The Song of Ice and Fire? The Game of Thrones one, the show, HBO. He had the book series, his series, the Game of Thrones one. He still needs to write the books, and he's not done. He still has to write like 2 more books, and he can't finish it. I don't think it's ever going to be finished, but who knows? But in that same situation, like, I know the guys who are doing the HBO series for Game of Thrones, they said, oh yeah, he's proud of it, he loved it. That's why you saw like the beginning seasons were actually pretty decent to the books. It was very close to it, and then it started going away from the books a bit. It was doing its own thing, and I think George R. R. Martin didn't like that. That's when he started getting upset. And you saw what the result was for the last season. Everyone hated it. It was a rush dumpster fire. The action was cool. Like, some action pieces were cool, obviously. A lot of budget went into it. It's just the storytelling, the characters just out of place completely. What their motivations was gone. It just became a shit show. And I could see this is like sort of that happening again with Game of Thrones and now, The Witcher. It's kind of like what's happening there. Disrespecting the authors, disrespecting the source material. And they're always going to do. This is what Netflix, this is what the directors, the writers are all going to say. It's toxic fandom. It's not toxic fandom. It's not. This is why. Henry Cavill will tell you why this is not toxic fandom.
There's something really interesting with this character that I find fascinating, which is that he genuinely really does just want to do the right thing. But everywhere he goes, whether it's a new town or a new bar, people just kind of give him a hard time and they rag on him despite the fact that he has great intentions. I'm curious if that's comparable to this sort of world, this culture of toxic fandom, where like if you make a movie, especially if you make a superhero movie, like you have great intentions, but there are always going to be a small yet vocal group of people there can kind of just be toxic.
I understand what you're saying, but when it comes to fans, it is a fan's right to have whatever opinion they want to have. And people are going to be upset because, especially when you're talking about books or games, because you're never going to be the exact person who they had in their head or who they played on Witcher 3, for example. I don't necessarily consider that toxic. I just consider that passionate.
Yup. And that's a really good answer. Hell yeah. Henry Cavill just summed it up. Just like that. Henry Cavill knows. This is why Henry Cavill left this series. He said, fuck it. I'm going to make my own thing. I love the Warhammer series. And I'm going to start directing, acting, and doing all this shit. Maybe producing, writing. I'm doing my Warhammer series. And I know it's going to be good. So I'm going to do that. And he said, fuck to this. But he's the same thing. He's a fan. He's also in it. He's trying his best. It's not going to be the same, but it's going to be close, but he's trying to be similar to what it was. What he remembers as reading as a fan. But he said it's not toxic fandom, it's just being passionate. I am super passionate about all these topics all the time when we talk about them. If I'm talking about on the podcast or here or whenever, I'm always like, I'm super passionate. When I'm passionate, it's not because I hate the product. It's not like I hate Star Wars. I always bring up Star Wars. I don't hate Star Wars. I hate what Disney did to Star Wars, but I don't hate Star Wars. I still can go back, rewatch the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, and I'd be good. Everything else, and maybe some EU stuff. But Disney Star Wars is so trash. That's not my Star Wars. That's not toxic fandom. That's just a passionate fan base. Love that because it has more material, more substance of that universe where George Lucas made. Had more substance than Disney ever had in their own trilogy. It's just filler. It's nothing. Disney is nothing. It's horrible in that situation. But yeah. I think that's going to be me for today, guys. I just wanted to put my opinion on it and read about this. I've been looking at this for a while and wanted to have a conversation and talk with you guys about The Witcher being, again, sidelined by the main person who made The Witcher just completely sidelined. Just go away. We don't care. So I wanted to talk about that today, about this, and see what you guys think. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. All right, guys, I hope you have a good one. I'll see you in the next one, guys. See ya.
But now, if I have to choose between one evil and another, then I prefer not to choose at all.